What's up, everybody? My name is Bridge, and this is my All Things WNBA report. Now, the championship finals are now here. The Minnesota Lynx taking on the Atlanta Dream. But before we get into that matchup, let's take a look back at what I got right and I got wrong. Eastern Conference first. Chicago Sky I knew would lose, and I knew the Washington Mystics would lose. In the second round, Indiana Fever facing the Atlanta Dream. Now, both of these teams are very similar. However, Atlanta just proved to be the better team. In this series, Atlanta just proved to be the more physical and more aggressive team. And that was a formula that Indiana Fever used against Chicago. Indiana was hot against Chicago, but not so much in Atlanta. Zealous, she couldn't miss a three. But in this series, she was cold. So you have Indiana losing and the Atlanta Dream making it into the finals. Now let's move on to the Western Conference. Minnesota Lynx facing Seattle Storm. I knew they would sweep them. However, I thought LA would beat Phoenix. However, LA lost against Phoenix. Now this was a tight series. I knew it would be. However, Brittany Griner wasn't even a factor in this last game. She only had 4 points before she scored the game-winning point. People, 6 points. But I'm going to give it to her. She stepped up when she needed to, scoring the game-winning point and taking Phoenix into the second round of the Western Conference, facing the Minnesota Lynx. In the second round, Minnesota Lynx facing the Phoenix Mercury. Now, I don't have to say too much about this game. Minnesota just proved to be the stronger team, the faster team, the more aggressive team. Brittany Griner, she stepped up a little bit in the first game, but in the second game, she only had 6 points. So she was really not a factor in this game. But you still have to plan for her, though. But as I said before, Minnesota's just a better team, and they beat the Phoenix Mercury, making it into the finals once again. Now let's get into the moment we've all been waiting for, the championship game. Now, these are the two teams that are in it. Minnesota Lynx facing Atlanta Dream. Now, Minnesota has a 1-1 record against Atlanta this year. Before their July 9th game this season, Atlanta had lost 6 straight games in the regular season against Minnesota, dating back to 2010. But this is not the first time these two have met up in the finals. We're going to rewind it back and take a look at the 2011 WNBA Finals. Here's the lineup that Minnesota Lynx had in 2011 in the championship finals. You had Moore, Brunson, McWilliams-Franklin, Augustus, and Whalen. Not too much of a difference from this year's. The only one that's not with the team this year, McWilliams-Franklin in the starting lineup. On the other side of the ball, you had Castro Marquez, McCautry, Little, Price, now Harrington, and Harding. Now, the lineup is a bit different. You no longer have Castro Marquez or Harding on this team. I so wish I could show highlights. In game 1, McCautry was on fire, 33 points, and Harding 20 points in a losing battle. De Souza, now she is with the team at this time. However, she was overseas playing for Brazil in with the national team. Little, she was not a factor in this first game. She got in foul trouble early. She had 0 points and 5 rebounds. But on the other side of the ball, Minnesota, 4 out of the 5 players had double figures. Brunson, heck, she was on fire too. She had a double-double in this game with 26 points, 11 rebounds. Minnesota was the proven team. They were faster, stronger, and Atlanta got caught up in the pick and roll. Minnesota had great ball movement. They double-teamed and trapped the ball when they needed to. Minnesota wins this game 88-74. In game 2, Simone Augustus must have eaten her Wheaties before this game, because this girl, heck, she had the whole court on fire. Maya Moore was in foul trouble early in this game. She only had 8 points. Atlanta did a better job containing Whalen and getting Moore in foul trouble early, but Atlanta had no answer for Augustus. She had 36 points and 8 rebounds. DeSouza was back with the team. However, she only had 8 points, 10 rebounds. Angel McCoughtry, however, she put this team on her back, scoring a whopping 38 points. Little did show up in this game. She had 13 points, 7 rebounds. Atlanta led most of this game until Augustus turned on the Jets in the fourth quarter. Minnesota went on a 10-0 run in the fourth, winning 101-95. Now we're going to move on to Game 3 of the finals. Now, Minnesota did a great job containing Atlanta. McCoughtry only had 22 points in this game, and besides her, no one else came up big in this game. Now, the difference in this one could be the fact that Augustus guarded McCoughtry instead of Moore in this game. And for Minnesota, the team high in points, 16, but 4 out of the 5 had double figures. Now, in this game, Minnesota did what Minnesota does best, moving the ball. They do what I like to call playing hot potato with the basketball, meaning holding the ball for maybe 3 seconds and then moving it out. Also, Minnesota does great with the pick and roll against defenses, and also Minnesota is a very aggressive team, and Atlanta couldn't contain that. And so that's why Atlanta got swept in the finals. Now, Atlanta, good team, very good team, but Minnesota was just better. Now we're going to take a look at my keys for Minnesota to win the championship. And this one is easy. So here it is. Minnesota needs to just keep doing what they've been doing. That's it. When a team's identity is being aggressive, that team will always be just that, day in and day out. Minnesota moves the ball well, they transition well, they trap the ball, they get after the ball on defense and on offense. And I don't see them changing that formula at any time. So just keep doing what you've been doing, and they will win the championship. Now let's take a look at Atlanta's keys to winning the championship. Now, first one, the Dream have to shut down Whalen. If you shut down Whalen, you're shutting down that good ball movement that Minnesota is known for. Second key, play Minnesota's game. Be aggressive. You have to be aggressive on both sides of the court. Number 3, anticipate. Atlanta has to anticipate where the ball is going next, especially if they get beaten in the pick and roll. Then they need to figure out what's their next move. They need to communicate with each other. They need to transition. They need to guard the goal. Last key, the bench must score. The Minnesota Lynx starting 5 do have to rest, don't they? Guess what? If your bench comes out on all cylinders, scoring, that forces the Minnesota Lynx head coach to get her players back out there. And guess what? Your starting 5 are more rested than what the Minnesota Lynx starting 5 will be. And that will be key. So the bench must score. As much as I would love Atlanta to win, I still have Minnesota down to win the championship finals. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I do. I cheer for the underdog, and Atlanta is the underdog. And that's all for now in this episode of All Things WNBA Report. Everybody enjoy the finals, and I'll be back after the championship finals to give my end of season review. I'll see you then.